everybody, I'm going to talk first. The other side can't hear me. I'm bringing people on. And we're not going to be taking questions live until about 19 minutes into this, just to let you know. But we'll do the best we can. Won't be able to interrupt for a 19-minute patch in there where I can't have to hit 0 or 7 on the keypad on the phone. So just be aware of that, Aaron, Allison, and Preston. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. This is the city of Frisco, Texas. We're going to have a telephone town hall meeting tonight. We're waiting for more neighbors to get on the call. If you have a question, the questions and the topics that we're covering tonight, as you probably heard in the opening talk from Dana, are on water restrictions, trash recycling, and road constructions and various improvements to roads. So if you have questions related to those topics, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. If you'd like to provide us your email address, please press 7. That's 7 on the keypad on your phone if you want to provide us your email address. So I'm going to say this a couple more times. We'll be joining the mayor in just a couple of minutes. They're doing the Pledge of Allegiance right now, and we want to get more people on this call before I hand it off to the mayor. So again, welcome everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Please, if you have questions, and there's going to be a staff briefing presentation that you're going to be able to hear on these three topics: water restrictions, trash and recycling, and road construction and the various improvements involving road construction. So that's what we're taking questions on. That's what you're going to hear, a staff briefing presentation on those three particular topics. If you have a question, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. If you want to provide us your email address so you can get email updates from the city with regularity, please press 7. That's 7 on the keypad on your phone. The topics are hot tonight, and we're going to be covering some very, very interesting things. So, again, the topics we're covering tonight are water restrictions, trash and recycling, and road construction and improvement. So if you have a question in any of those areas, and we're going to be taking questions a little bit after the staff briefing presentation, please press 0 on the keypad on your keypad on your phone. One or two more times. Again, welcome everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. We're going to be on for the next hour. We've got a 19-minute staff briefing presentation on the three major topics, which are water restrictions, trash and recycling, and road construction. So if you have any questions coming up on those topics, when we're ready for questions after the staff briefing presentation, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. If you'd like to provide us your email address, please press 7. That's 7 on the keypad on your phone. One or two more times, and the mayor should be with us in just a minute. They're just doing the Pledge of Allegiance right now. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. We're joining a live crowd at City Hall in the city of Frisco. You get to listen to this and ask questions from the comfort of your own home. We hope you'll take us up on that. To do so, you need to press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. And if you want to provide us email addresses for email updates, you press 7 on the keypad on your phone. With the three topics, as you probably heard this before, and I'm sorry I'm so repetitive, but we're just waiting another minute for them to get through their opening Pledge of Allegiance, we're talking about water restrictions, and there's new ones in place. We're talking about trash, and there's a new trash vendor out there, along with recycling, and we're talking about road construction as well. Road construction and improvements involving the road construction. So again, if you have questions involving any of those particular areas, please by all means press 0 on the keypad on your phone. There's going to be a presentation. It's called the staff briefing presentation. It's on for a little bit, but it should cover many of the bases and answer many of the questions, especially about the watering restrictions and, of course, the trash and the road construction as well. But the watering restrictions are new. They impact just about everybody. We hope you'll enjoy the presentation. Again, you will be able to ask questions, and the best way to do that is to press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. If you want to press 7 on the keypad on your phone, that'll provide us with you providing us an email address. That was easy to say. And that email address means that we can send you email updates with regularity what's going on with the city. It could be involving water restrictions or anything else from time to time. One more time with this, and then we'll be joined by the mayor. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. We've got about 50% of all your neighbors dialed in right now. If you'd like to ask a question, press 00 on the keypad on your phone. If you'd like to press 7, that will provide us your email address. Again, the topics to ask questions are water restrictions, trash/recycling, and road construction and improvements. So we're ready to take it away. I'm going to be sending out this live right now, and enjoy the rest of the call tonight.
The video.
Thank you for using Water Wisely. Here's Director of Public Works Gary Hartwell to discuss our modified Stage 3 water restrictions.
Even though we are modifying our Stage 3 restrictions, the message to our residents remains the same. We're asking our residents to continue to keep their sprinkler systems turned off, to check our website, sign up for the email, and see if watering is needed. And if it is, then you can use your sprinkler system, but with the modifications, it will be every other week, beginning the week of June the 29th. The current restrictions allow you to use a handheld hose, drip systems, bubbler systems, or soaker hoses to water your landscaping, your trees, your shrubs, and your foundations. So the new restrictions just simply allow you to use that handheld hose to water your grass also. Well, we will continue to patrol 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We've had almost 1,200 violations this year so far. But really, it's not about enforcement, it's about education. And every time we find a violation, we contact that homeowner and try to explain to them the importance of water conservation and promote our free sprinkler checkups.
So when can we water?
We also allow folks to use a handheld hose to water their turf grass. And you can do that up to 2 hours on any day of the week, as long as it's not between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Why can't we water during the day?
10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is that part of the day where there's the most chance for evaporation. And so we prefer to use water efficiently and wisely and not to water during that period.
I don't know how to program my sprinkler system to run every other week. What should I do?
Most controllers are set to operate on a weekly basis, Sunday through Saturday. Some of the newer controllers do allow you to set your controller for interval watering, which could be any time from 1 to 31 days. But the most important thing is just to keep your sprinkler system turned off. Don't worry about your controller. If you don't know how to program it, you can call us for a free sprinkler checkup. We'll come out and take care of that for you. Well, I think for each resident to really understand how to operate their automatic sprinkler system is a benefit to the entire city and an entire district. And so when we come out, we walk you through your system. We look at all your zones, make sure there aren't any misaligned heads or damaged heads, and then we go through the controller with each resident, making sure they understand how it works. We make sure we set it properly, and then we turn it off. And we simply indicate to our residents that you should just simply leave this off, check our website, and only turn it on if it's necessary.
What about my foundation? How can I protect my home investment during drought?
Buy some soaker hoses, put them around your foundation, and you can operate them up to 2 hours a day, any day of the week.
We have a slip and slide, and my family wants to use it during the day. Am I allowed to use it even between the hours of 10 a.m. and 6 p.m.?
As long as you're operating on your grass so that any excess water from your slip and slide goes onto your grass, then that would be permitted. Yes, we don't want to regulate people's opportunity to have fun with their family.
Why did Frisco modify its restrictions just because the North Texas Municipal Water District asked? Frisco already reduced its water consumption by 20% under Stage 3 restrictions. So what are the other cities doing to help?
I think it's important that we participate in the recommendations from the Water District because we're all in this together, and it's only one lake. We don't have our part of the lake that belongs to us, and it's important that if we need to take the lead in making sure that we use water efficiently during the summer so that none of us have to go to Stage 4. In Stage 4, it's not about water restrictions. It's about water allocation. And the district will simply provide a certain amount of water to every customer, and that's all we get on a daily basis. And so we need to make sure that we don't have to go to that point because there is no outdoor watering. There's no new pools. There's no new landscaping. It will be very difficult on all of us. In fact, we would go from watering up to 2 hours a day to up to 2 hours a week.
Why does Frisco keep approving building permits?
We have plenty of water for our existing population. We have plenty of water for our future residents that are moving to Frisco. What we don't have is enough water to waste. The city of Frisco uses a little over 10% of the total demand of the entire district. If we're growing at, say, 5%, that growth represents only about 0.5%, which is really not a significant factor in future water restrictions. I think the biggest issue is the excessive use of the automatic sprinkler system. So if we can get that overuse under control, then there won't be any issues with new buildings.
The North Texas Municipal Water District just tapped a new pipeline from Lake Texoma, replenishing about 28% of the district's supply that was lost in 2009 due to zebra mussels. If the water supply is being replaced, why are we still under restrictions?
Texoma Pipeline is going to add about 75 million gallons a day when it's fully in operation. But if the district is pumping 500 to 600 million gallons a day, the 75 million gallons a day coming from the Lake Texoma area is simply not significant to eliminate all restrictions. The State Water Plan that was updated in 2012 only had 3 new reservoirs listed: the Ralph Hall Reservoir, the Lower Bodart Creek Reservoir, and the Marvin Nichols Reservoir. The Lower Bodart Creek Reservoir belongs to our water district. That permit is in Austin now, under review, and as soon as that is approved, the construction of the reservoir will begin, and hopefully the new reservoir will be online as early as maybe 2020.
Director of Parks and Recreation Rick Whelan addresses watering medians and parks. Why does the city get to water medians?
The most important resource that we have on a median are our trees, and we do allow tree bubblers to take place on our trees to help water those. Most of our trees are all native trees. In fact, I would say all of our trees are native in nature that require less water than other types might, but we do provide that type of water, especially in a hot summer. You may see tree bubblers being used. We take water conservation very seriously. It's, a difficult time for everybody right now, but we don't have enough staff to be at every one of the medians that we have. So if they see that type of thing, day or night, if they can contact us, let us know, then we'll address it as quickly as we can.
What about parks? I see watering at some of those, too.
We're very fortunate in that our community parks all have the ability to be able to water because we either have a well system in place there, or we have the potential of a reuse water line that we have, say, at B.F. Phillips Community Park, where we can water because it's not utilizing potable water. And we try to conserve as much potable water as we possibly can so the residents can use that. We've got well systems in place at Warren Sports Complex, Harold Backus Community Park, and then also at Frisco Commons Park. All 3 of those sites have wells in place. Years ago, we started to look at, as watering became more and more of a concern, and as we didn't receive the we had hoped for, we started to look at alternative sources. So several years ago, we started to look at the use of reuse systems to be able to make use of that water for our community parks, ultimately for some medians that we can do, but larger community parks, because if it's available, we'd like to try to use it in that way.
My kids love the spray parks. Isn't there any way to open the spray parks?
The one spray park that I do believe will be opening this summer would be the one located at Frisco Commons, because we do have well water available there. That would make that particular spray park available. We are currently repairing that well system and updating it for use, and we're hoping here within the next 30 to 45 days it will be available summer. The other 2 sites we have are located, one is at J.R. Newman Neighborhood Park, and then we also have another one at Shepherd's Glen Neighborhood Park. With the limited use of potable water and our ability to conserve, those 2 parks are not available.
My kids play sports. What about the potential for them getting hurt on dry, cracked fields?
When we look at issues such as safety and health issues for our patrons that utilize the parks that we have, children that use athletic fields, adults that use athletic fields, it's important to us that we make sure that those grounds can be utilized and are safe for their use. Cracks will occur when you get a dry piece of ground, and over time they can actually become fairly critical, and you want to make sure that those are as tightly sealed as they can be. We use a couple of different sources in our community parks where we have well water or reuse water available. then we try to water on a more regular basis. We aerate those grounds as well to help give it oxygen. And then we also can supplement it with soil, topsoil, that type of thing to help seal those cracks as well. In our neighborhood parks where water is more limited, it is something that we stay on top of and monitor on a regular basis. We try to provide a topsoil there whenever possible because watering in those parks will be under the same restrictions and guidelines that are in place with Stage 3.
Back to Director of Public Works Gary Hartwell. Besides adhering to the restrictions and getting a free irrigation system checkup, what else can I do to help reduce water consumption?
Well, we sold over 660 rain barrels, and when they're properly in place, they will take all the water off the rooftops and allow folks to water their flower beds and their shrubs with that water. Several months ago, we put together our block captain program, and right now we have over 30 or 40 subdivisions that have block captains, and we provide them with whatever resources they need to make sure the word gets out within their subdivisions. Well, I think the success of our program has been a partnership between our elected officials, city staff, and our residents, especially our residents, because they've actually been able to get the job done to make sure that we've met our goal consistently over the last several months. The current City of Frisco water conservation measures have been very successful. We continue to meet our goal requested by the district. Our water usage per person continues to drop. Last year we used 180 gallons per person per day. In previous years we've been over 200, so our conservation efforts have been successful. We need to continue to be successful, and that's why we ask our residents to just simply keep your systems turned off and water only when we recommend it. But as far as this summer is concerned, you can see our successful water conservation numbers in the past, but really the only number that matters now is the level in the lake, and we all are in that together.
Moving on, here's Environmental Services Manager Jeremy Sterrett to give us an update on trash and recycling service.
CWD is still trying to catch up on the regular routes. We have hired an outside company, Progressive, who will be our future provider, to start coming in early. And so as their brand new trucks come online within the city, we are putting them straight onto the streets and having them help CWD get through this time. It seems that after they had learned that they did not receive the contract again for the City of Frisco, they started to have a shortage of drivers, of trained drivers. They are in the process now of rehiring new drivers to fill those spaces and get them trained, but at this time they are running short of staff and thus short of trucks on the road. We do communicate with CWD at the end of every day to better understand what has and has not been serviced. Trash is obviously our top priority to get collected, and we reroute all vehicles to pick up trash that has been missed before we do anything else. The recycling, unfortunately, is secondary. We really believe in our recycling program. We have a very strong recycling program in Frisco, but at this point, recycling does have to become secondary to trash.
How do you know where service is being missed?
We rely on the residents calling in and letting us know, as well as the reports from CWD on what has been missed and when it was missed. As soon as we find out that there is a trash miss, we send vehicles out there as soon as we possibly can. They are pushing drivers sometimes to be working in Frisco until 8:30, 9 p.m. to get the job done.
Why are some neighborhoods being missed repeatedly and others aren't being missed at all?
CWD has a tracking device or tracking devices and route mechanisms to route the trucks in specific ways. Unfortunately, sometimes that does mean that certain neighborhoods are at the end of certain routes every single week, and when that happens, those are the residents that wind up usually getting dropped. We have worked with CWD to start rotating their services to where they start routes at the end instead of at the beginning, so that some of those neighborhoods are not getting missed every single time, that they're only being pushed back maybe one day, 1 week, and then they're getting service provided on their regular day the next week. It really doesn't have anything to do with the older neighborhoods or gated neighborhoods or anything to that effect. It really is just a routing system that is done completely by GPS and roads. The transition from CWD to Progressive, especially concerning the carts, are being done by a completely different third party, and those times and schedules are completely on schedule and running properly. When you're exchanging 280,000 carts a few hiccups is certainly expected, and we have cleared all of those up within the week of them occurring.
Why did Frisco change its service contractor?
CWD did not lose the contract because of poor services. CWD's contract expired at the end of 10 years, and as any other government contract, we went out to bid, and Progressive just came back with a stronger bid. Moving forward, we have the greatest confidence in Progressive. They are a national company. They have an excellent track record with other cities.
What are some of the added benefits of having Progressive as the new service provider?
Their trucks will be running on CNG, compressed natural gas, so there will be no more diesel-burning vehicles on the road, which helps in a lot of ways, air pollution as well as the weight on the roads. The trucks are not as heavy, as well as the noise. You will not be able to hear these trucks coming to your house. So we recommend that residents do put carts out by 7 a.m. and not wait to hear the trucks, because starting August 1st, they will no longer hear the trucks coming down the alleys. We will be adding new components or new materials to the recycling stream every year. They're starting us off first day, August 1st, with 2 new items being added to the recycling collection. One will be your grocery shopping plastic bags. You no longer have to either bring that to the Environmental Services Department or bring them back to a grocery store or to one of our FISD schools. They can just throw them directly into the blue bin now. The second is going to be what we call aseptic containers, which are your orange juice or milk containers that look like they have a waxy coating on the outside. Those will also now be accepted in the blue bin program.
Why is it important to recycle?
We pay per ton for everything that winds up going to the landfill. Obviously, everything that you put in your recycling bin is now removed from that waste stream that is going to the landfill, and thus we do not have to pay the tonnage charge for those items. Last year, we saved over $700,000 just on landfill tonnage alone on the recycling program. The more that people participate, the more money we save, and the better our contracts will be in the future.
Progressive will provide full service beginning August 1st. What other improvements are being made to make collection easier, especially if there's a problem in the future?
We will have 2 staff members working with Environmental Services from Progressive that we have not had in the past. One person will be a dispatch person, to where we will know where trucks are at all times in the city, and we will be able to contact the driver at any moment in time if we need them. The second person will be a route supervisor who will be stationed with us. This person will be in charge of all of the drivers within the city, and this is residential, commercial, and construction. And so we will have that person on hand with us to be able to relay any messages to drivers or move trucks from one area to the next if there is an emergency. If your service is missed, we do ask if residents can to please leave your carts out. We are running the recollection routes as quickly as we can, and we would hate for someone's cart not to be out when the recollection happens and then them get another miss and have to wait another week. We have been in contact with all of the HOAs to inform them of what is happening within the city, to inform them that it is not a resident's fault that the carts are still out, that it has been missed, and that the city is asking for the carts to stay out. We definitely do not foresee these issues continuing, especially not past August 1st. We are trying our hardest to keep CWD or get CWD back up on schedule. We do think that it will happen before the end of their contract, but we are very sure that once Progressive enters the city full-time that we will not be seeing these issues anymore.
This is Director of Engineering Services, Paul Knippel. Southbound 5th Street is now open to two-way traffic between Main Street and Hickory Street. Motorists should look for traffic from both directions before crossing the roadway. 5th Street has been operating as a one-way street while construction was underway. We urge you to use caution in the area as people become accustomed to the new traffic patterns. Reconstruction improvements on Stonebrook Parkway East between the Dallas North Tollway and Preston are nearly done. Earlier this week, crews opened the 3rd lanes in each direction and finished striping. Work remains to be done on traffic signals and medians. We expect this job to be completely finished by January of 2015. The construction of Stonebrook Parkway West is about half finished. Crews are constructing approximately a half mile of roadway, 6 lanes total, 3 in each direction between Fighting Eagles and the DNT. Once finished, this newly constructed roadway will ease traffic congestion on Lebanon and Main Street and provide a much shorter, more direct route for motorists who want to access the DNT from this part of town. Stonebrook Parkway West is expected to be complete sometime next summer.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, that was wonderful. That was a little longer than we usually do because we had so many questions on those issues, and obviously they're very important to our residents. Again, I want to point out that we have our Mayor Pro Tem Bob Allen with us. Councilmember Scott Johnson walked in. I point them out because that way the tough questions you all that are not at home can ask. You can ask them right after the meeting. They'll be available for you. With that, I do want to remind our audience here that we'll be taking questions both from the residents in the audience and from residents on the phone at home, and we will try to alternate as much as possible. Obviously, at home it's a little more difficult to stay on the phone longer. We hope people do stay on the phone as long as they can, but we'll try to get as many of those questions in. If you do have a question at any time, please just come up to one of the mics here, and as soon as I'm able to, I will go ahead and call on you. And with that, I want to turn the microphone over to our administrator who's administrating the calls at home. Kurt, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to take Randall first. Randall, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Randall, go ahead with your question.
Well, I do respect the amount of water conservation efforts and all the different things that are being tried, but there is somewhat of a feeling like these are temporary measures that are just kind of kicking the can down the road. So I've lived in cities where they've used 100% of their gray water on all of their landscaping and so on, and they did it in order to maintain the groundwater level so that they could run more extensive well systems. And in some of these cities, it was rather amazing because as you had the El Nino and El Nino effect, they weren't affected anywhere near as much as everybody else was.
I'm trying to figure out what the question, I guess what I would like to point out is we have a reuse water system that we're expanding as rapidly as we can, but frankly that's approximately 10 million gallons a day that's available from the wastewater treatment plants. Some of our parks, for example, I do know the Trails Golf Course uses it. We're talking with the school district. And we do have wells in our major parks. But again, we're trying to encourage our residents to only water when needed and use the Stage 3 restrictions, which is once every 2 weeks. But we do have some that are still watering excessively, and we encourage them to get online. We send out reminders every week about how much water your lawn may need, and we continue to try to educate our public with that. So we'll take another call. Kurt?
You bet. We're going to take Edward next. Edward, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Edward, go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, hi. Thanks for having me. My question is, I understand all the water restrictions and stuff that are being discussed and put in place, but on the same token, I'm wondering why there are new restrictions on the new lawns and stuff that are being put in. In short, you guys are telling us we need to conserve water, but I'm watching as these new neighborhoods go in, and new lawns and new landscaping and stuff is being put in. It's just compounding the problem. So, instead of penalizing the homeowners that have been here for 10 years and have thousands of dollars invested in landscaping, why aren't we looking toward the future and putting restrictions in and maybe doing some type of different yards and different landscaping that's more water friendly on the new construction?
Hey, thank you for the comments and question. Gary Hartwell, Director of Public Works, will answer that.
First, there's a difference between new landscaping, which requires additional water, and existing landscaping, which doesn't require nearly as much. The new landscaping for the new homes has a 30-day exemption, and the primary purpose for that is we do have stormwater regulations to make sure that we don't have erosion that flows into our streams and our creeks and onto the lake. So we have to make sure we protect the stormwater regulations.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, caller.
Our next question is going to be from Sue. Sue, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Sue, please go ahead with your question if you would.
I read an article a couple of days before this new restriction came out that's going to start in July. And the article I read was concerning the meetings that you were having with, the Dallas Metro Water District. And I was very encouraged when I read that because it stated how well the city of Frisco has done in its conservation. The general gist of the article stated that you all were not in favor of going to once every 2 weeks. And I was shocked when a couple of days later I heard that you were. I felt you all really caved on that and that it was not an absolutely necessary thing that we do. I am a widow senior citizen. I work 4 days a week. I run my dishwasher once a week. I do 2 loads of laundry a week. Somehow it does not seem fair that I use so little water to begin with, and yet I am giving the same restrictions as a family of 4 or bigger.
Mary, your thoughts?
So for those that the only real major change was going once every 2 weeks, you are still allowed to use hand watering 2 hours a day, except between hours of 10 and 6 p.m. You can use foundation drip systems for your foundation, but the standard really is about watering your lawn. In regards to the council deliberately looking at this, we did have some concerns, and I think we were very vocal with our concerns about going to once every 2 weeks. However, we also want to make sure that the region was successful. And the region in itself, what Frisco does, we're a small part of that, and it wouldn't help any of us to avoid stage 4 if we could not get the region to work together cooperatively to reduce water usage. George, do you have anything to add to that?
Sure.
City Manager George Purefoy.
No, the council. I asked the council to consider going to the once every 2 weeks watering. The primary reason was Frisco represents about 10% of the use of the North Texas Municipal Water District's daily water supply. And that means the 90% is used by the other cities. And it was becoming fairly obvious that if Frisco didn't go to that, then the other cities, a lot of the other cities were going to break ranks and probably go to every week watering. And I don't believe that the conservation would have been as good in the other cities. They don't have the programs in place that we've been fortunate to do because we're fairly new and have the latest technology at our convenience that some of the older cities don't. So it was really an effort to try to conserve water as best we can during this very dry period. I noticed on the Channel 8 News right before I came back to the town hall meeting that they said that this is the 5th driest start of the year from January till now since the weather records have been recorded here in Texas. I think that began either in the 1870s or 1880s. So this is almost a record-breaking year as far as how dry it's been, and the lakes, especially Lake Lavon, has especially suffered during this time. So it is in all our best interest to try to conserve as much water as we can until the rains get back to more of a normal pattern.
Thank you, George. We're going to take another caller from home.
We are. The next question is going to be from William. And by the way, listeners on the phone, if you have a question, please press 0. If you want to provide an email address for us so we can send you updates, please press 7. William's next. William, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. William, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Is there any moratorium on putting any new swimming pools in Frisco or any of the other cities that are involved in this desperate attempt to reduce water?
Thank you. Right now, restrictions on pools are minimal. We hope people conserve there, but there are no restrictions on building pools or filling pools right now. Stage 4 would greatly impact that, as well as all outdoor watering. Again, we would just encourage our residents to follow the restrictions, and that would save considerable amount of water. Some of our biggest users are not really related to pools. It's lawn irrigation. That's our biggest problem out there that we're trying to get resolved. And so we appreciate if everybody just turns off their sprinklers and water on their day when necessary only. Let's go ahead and take a caller here in the audience. I'm sorry, a resident in the audience.
Good evening. My name is Clifford, and I have 2 follow-up water questions and then a garbage question, if I may.
We have about 10 people on the phone, so
Sure, I'm going to go quick. I'll go quick here.
Okay.
So the water situation seems to be a situation of leadership at this point, and who's going to provide the political and civic leadership within the water district. Having looked at the newspaper articles, including this morning's article in the morning news, and looking at the water district website, I was unable to find any metrics that relate to the water consumption per person per day that we see every week in our WaterWise email. And that does not exist. There was a percentage reduction shown in the newspaper this morning, but I really have no idea how well we are doing compared to other cities. Is there a way to get that information out and then prompt or prod us or other cities to do more to get that per person rate down? So that's my first question. I'll let y'all answer that.
Okay, go ahead, ask the other ones. I'm writing them down.
Okay. The other question is there's another large Texas city to our south whose conservation efforts have been so good that they're raising their water rates and thinking about imposing a drought fee because the revenue to the water department is falling. Is there any consideration of that if we really start conserving, say we get down below 100 gallons per person per day? So those are my two water questions. My garbage question is, are we collecting any liquidated damages from CWD at this point? Because I've been reading the newspaper also that we're spending a lot of extra money to get services back up. But I'm hoping that in all fairness, that CWD is paying some liquidated damages.
Okay, thank you. 3 quick questions. One is on the leadership side of the water and the metrics of how much water per person per day throughout the North Texas Municipal Water District region. And Gary, do you have an answer to that? Is there somewhere where you can look at that usage?
The demographics of the 13-member cities are so different. It's really difficult to look at GPCD overall. Some have a lot of sprinkler systems, some don't. Some have industries and some don't. So really the best thing we can do is just simply show you what we're using in Frisco. And the other cities, if they want to come up with a calculation, they can. But to look at it district-wide would not be real meaningful because of the difference in all the member cities.
And
we're
then
all in this together.
Okay, now on the drought fee, and by the way, we can really get in depth after because I want to make sure I get as many calls at home. Drought fee, our council is actually looking and starting to think about it, not deeply yet, but one of the things is a small percentage of the users are using the largest percentage of the water, and there has been some discussion, and council may take that up in the future, about additional fees for wasting water. I think everyone wants the ability to use what is needed, but for waste, I think it may be something to look at. But again, council will take a closer look at that. We do not have the problem of lost revenues because of our growth. Last year we added over 2,200 new homes. This year it looks like it's on track for over 2,000 homes. And with those increases, we'll use the water we're contracted for or close to it. But that's not a real issue out here. So thanks for the questions. Let's go back to the phones at home.
Our next question is going to be from Charlotte. Charlotte, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Charlotte, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, I was just generally following up on all of the questions for water restrictions, primarily those being how are new corporate partners in the city being restricted, if at all. And secondarily, I am concerned about the new homes being built in the many major developments around Frisco. Following up on the suggestion that new native plants be installed in the lawns rather than grass would be an excellent suggestion. Why is that not a mandate? It certainly should be. And thirdly, the surrounding cities of Frisco are not implementing water restrictions. Why should the customers in Frisco be the only ones that are penalized in this respect? Our land values, our home values are going to suffer when our plants and our lawns die. Who's going to be responsible for that liability?
For the questions, Gary, I'll bring you back up. So the questions are, how are we working with corporate partners on restrictions and water usage?
All customers in Frisco, both residential and non-residential, have the same water restrictions, and they're enforced exactly the same way.
Thank you. And then the other question is about new homes. Again, if all new home construction stopped, that doesn't solve our problem. Really the problem is using the amount of water we need to use and not wasting water. During the winter months, we're using approximately 10 million gallons a day of water, and that peaks at 65 million during the summer. That delta is really irrigation, and we're trying to get to our residents, water only what you need. I hear these ideas of lawns dying, and I would encourage everyone to sign up to the city email list where we send out watering advice. We have a weather station. We recommend how much water your grass needs every week. If you follow those guidelines and if you follow the restrictions, we have not really seen grass dying. You are still allowed to water by hand, bushes and some of your landscaping, your foundations. And so what we're trying to really avoid is going to stage 4. What other cities are doing, they all are required to meet some cost water usage savings, and frankly, it's a problem in all North Texas cities. So we just encourage our residents to really turn off your sprinklers, water on the days that are necessary, and you should be okay on your grass. Gary, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I'm in touch with staff members in all the other member cities, and I can assure you that they are implementing and enforcing very similar water restrictions that we have.
Thank you, Gary. And I missed a previous question before about CWD liquidated damages, Henry, or somebody from recycling. We'll get that question answered in a moment as soon as we get Henry down here. Let's go ahead and take another call from home.
You bet. We're going to take Francine next. Francine, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Francine, go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, I'm in the trails, and I was wondering with the water restriction, if we have to keep it every 2 weeks, once every 2 weeks, does the HOAs of all the subdivisions have to do the same?
Caller, everyone has to follow those restrictions. And again, Gary, if you don't mind, what if someone sees somebody not following the restrictions? What number do they call? Is there a website? How do we report violators?
Well, we have an online reporting form that you can go to friscotexas.gov/water and report anonymously, or you can call our office at 972-292-5800. And our restrictions essentially, every time we find a violation, we actually turn off the sprinkler system right then.
Important to know, we do have a free irrigation checkup. You can call and schedule that. If you happen to get one of those violations, again, the city is not out to raise revenue on this issue. We're trying to conserve water, and it's a $25 fine that is waived if you call the irrigation specialist. Our interest really is to get people educated on how to preserve and cut on water. Let's take another one from home.
Next one's from Terry. Terry, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Terry, please go ahead with your question.
Hi, I'd just like to ask if you could expand upon the use of rain barrels, and if you could just let me know what the limitations are and how I can go about utilizing that as far as conservation.
Thank you, caller. The question is about rain barrels, and Gary Harwell, Director of Public Works, will answer that.
Yeah, we just completed our first rain barrel program. We sold over 660 of those, and it's basically a plastic barrel that sits beside one of your downspouts so that all of the water that collects in your drain system on your roof flows into the drain, into the rain barrel, and then can be dissipated out through a soaker hose to water your foundation or your flower beds. And we'll have another one of those programs coming up in the near future. And I might make one other comment, that watering once every other week is on your regular trash day. I've gotten a lot of questions from folks who said, well, my regular trash day is this day, but they picked up my trash on that day. Does that mean I get to water on both days? And so it's your regular trash day, not the day your trash is actually picked up.
Even our departments have some fun with each other. So thank you. We have 14 waiting at home. Let's take another call.
You bet. We're going to take Jackie next. Jackie, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Jackie, go ahead with your question, please.
Thank you. I am going to be away for 6 to 8 weeks in the summer. Is there any way a sprinkler system can be set to run every 2 weeks?
Well, Gary's going to come up the mic, but I would say it depends on your sprinkler system, Gary.
Several different types of controllers. Some operate on a weekly basis. Others, through interval programming, can be set to water once every 14 days. I would suggest that you call our office and sign up for one of our free checkups, and we can come out and see exactly what kind of a controller you have and help you set it up. If it can't be set for once every 14 days, then I'm sure a neighbor could probably help you out and water for you while you're gone in the non-watering weeks.
One more call from home, Kurt.
You bet, Mayor. We're going to take Beth Ann. Beth Ann's going to switch the gears over to trash. So, Beth Ann, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Beth Ann, please go ahead with your question.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate all the work you all do. My question is regarding the interruption in the recycle, in particular, service that you mentioned earlier in the meeting. We have been inconvenienced for the past 5 weeks, and I wanted to know if there would be any reimbursement to the customers because of that.
Thank you, caller, and we'll handle that other question at the same time. Henry?
Yes, the question earlier was about liquidated damages and the contractual responsibilities. First of all, on that, we are working through with the company. They do have an obligation. There is provisions in the contract for liquidated damages, and we are talking with them now about how to best address those liquidated damages and the issue of reimbursement for any missed services. We're working through with the company also the number of missed services, the frequency of the missed services, so that we can then come back at the end and address some sort of a process for our customers to make sure that they are properly considered for the payments that they have made.
Thank you, Henry. Let's go ahead and take one of our attendees here tonight.
Yeah, I'm Mike Tate. It's kind of a question and maybe trying to understand something. If I understand from Mr. Hartwell, we can water our lawn 2 hours a day, every day. Is that correct?
Hand water.
Hand water.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can do that. Turn the sprinkler off. We can water our lawn 2 hours a day, every day if we want to.
Except between the hours of 10 and 6 p.m.
Correct, yes. But 2 hours a day we can water.
Yes.
I'm old enough to where I didn't have a sprinkler system, and that's how we used to water, and our lawns came out pretty good. So I'm confused about the problem, other than the fact that we might have to get out and get to know our lawn better. That was all. That's not a question. But
Thank you for the comment. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, you can water, and you can do it daily. And really the problem of water waste has to do with the automatic sprinklers running all the time, and it's a significant problem. If we can just cut that out, we'll be in much better shape. Thank you. Let's take a caller from home.
It's going to be Amy. Amy, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Amy, please go ahead with your question. Amy.
Yes,
Amy, go ahead with your question.
Okay, my question is, since we're getting a new company to pick up the trash, are the hours going to change?
Henry Hill, our Deputy City Manager, will answer that.
No, the hours won't change. The regular service will proceed in terms of the dates. That is, the trash date is your watering date, and the trash dates are the dates that currently exist. The new company assumed the responsibilities for the schedule as it existed in place.
And as Henry pointed out earlier on the video, Jeremy, the trucks are much quieter. They're natural gas operated. So I don't expect to see anybody running out in their robes anymore when they hear the truck coming. So we should be in good shape there. Thank you, Henry. Let's take another caller from home.
Let's take Kristen. Kristen, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Kristen, please go ahead with your question.
Good evening. We just wanted to know if the City of Frisco raises any revenue from the recycling items that we place out every week. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you, caller. Henry?
The city doesn't get direct revenue from the recycling. It is part of the overall contract. It helps offset the cost for the trash collection as well as the yard waste collection. We manage the Environmental Services Fund as a separate fund from all of the rest of the city's resources, and those funds that are collected on your bill that you pay, the $11.50 a month, pays for just the trash recycling and the solid waste collection process.
Thank you, Henry. I do want to take this opportunity to point out to our residents, because you don't see the behind the scenes many times. Henry, our Deputy City Manager, and many of our staff worked well over a year in getting prepared for these bids, and they did such a great job. Our rates are lower than most cities around us. In fact, I've fielded so many calls from nearby city mayors that are getting ready for their bid process, if we can help them and how we did it and how we got these rates. So I know Henry's been very helpful to many of those communities. I just want to make sure I gave him a little bit of credit, because he worked really hard and the staff worked really hard to keep our rates really low, and they came in under our previous contract. So it's a good thing they did. Thank you all. Let's take another caller.
Let's take Monica. Monica, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Monica, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you. That's a perfect segue in terms of the contract. I wanted to know how much did we save and how will the savings be used that were achieved by switching from CWD to Progressive?
Thank you, caller.
And just to make a clarification on what the mayor said before, the issues of the pickups that we have been experiencing over the last number of weeks are not related directly to the contract change. The existing company has the obligation through July 31st. The new company and the savings and the cost will affect on August 1st. So this is a process of the transition from the old company completing their responsibilities and the new company picking up their new responsibilities. As I mentioned before, the fund itself is a self-sustaining fund. We then collect money from the residents for the trash pickup as well as the businesses that also have their trash picked up in the community. Those funds go into that separate environmental services fund. Each year that is budgeted to cover the cost of the collection, the cost of the disposal of the material, and the cost of the administration of the environmental services activities. For example, activities such as the Chunk Your Junk events and other activities that go on in the community. Each year that budget is established and council can set the rates or change the rates as they might see fit.
Thank you, Henry. Another caller.
We're going to take Cindy. Cindy, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Cindy, please go ahead with your question.
Hi, I thank you for your time, you guys. And I just wanted to point out, I appreciate what you explained about the trash and how it's been left behind, because I live in Christie Ranch here on the west side of Frisco, and we had our trash missed 2 weeks in a row, and I'm looking out my window, and we have two neighbors. One neighbor is at 2332 and 2365. Their trash has not been picked up, and everybody else's has, and Progressive also dropped off their new cans. I just thought I would point that out, that we are seeing some progress, but there's just a couple of things here in this neighborhood that we've been dealing with for the last few weeks.
Thank you. This is a good opportunity for Henry to share what to do if your recycling or trash has been missed. And we haven't received a lot of missed trash calls. Just to understand, these are missed trash or missed recycling? We may have lost a caller here. Henry, what number can people call, whether that's either one?
Well, the best thing to do is send an email to Jeremy Starrett, J-S-T-A-R-R-I-T-T, Jeremy Starrett, or Henry Hill, H-H-I-L-L, and both of those are at friscotexas.gov. So J. Starrett at friscotexas.gov or H. Hill at friscotexas.gov. We will make sure that you are put in the queue, and then we can follow through with any concerns or specific addresses if we need to route those in. You can also call the main environmental services number.
Thank you, Henry. Take another caller.
It's going to be Bob. Bob, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Bob, go ahead with your question, please.
Hi there. I just have a question. I received an email saying that my trash bins would be removed today on the 16th and be replaced by the new ones. My question is, if it's not done today, how long should I leave those trash bins out? I live in the Greyhawk community.
Thank you, sir. So again, Henry, generically, somebody's recycling has not been picked up. What should they do?
Please leave them out. They will come back and get them. We will then follow through in the morning to make sure that if there's something been missed in Greyhawk, that they will do that. The actual cart swaps have actually proceeded pretty well. There's a separate team, as was explained in the tape earlier, that is focused just on the swapping of carts, and that is separate and apart from the actual collection of the trash or the recycling.
Thank you. Take another caller.
We're going to take Adrian next if we can. Adrian, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Adrian, please go ahead with your question.
Hi, thanks for letting me call in. I am disabled, and under CWD or CDW or whatever, that they've taken my trash, the bin from up next to my garage, because I'm not able to walk to get it up to the alley. Will the new company be doing that? And when they miss, like lately, I've been missed a couple of times, which I understand there's been some issues. But I used to have the number on the CW, the other barrel, that I could just call that number and say, y'all missed me, and they would redirect a person to me. But I didn't see a number on these new barrels. Is there a number I can call? Because I don't do internet stuff.
is at the City of Frisco and Environmental Services, and that number is also going to be made available as a part of the overall information that goes out. We haven't put that number out separately right now because we don't want people calling Progressive as we're still in the process of making the transition with CWD. So that number will be made available, and anybody who has a special service as you've described, that will continue under the new contract.
Thank you, Henry. Take more questions from home.
Susan's next. Susan, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, I would like to know what the status is of the possible Walmart at Stonebrook and 423.
Hey, thank you. So the question is about the potential Walmart at Stonebrook and 423. John Lettler, Director of Planning Services, will take that question.
Walmart has submitted their zoning case on the property. They're currently working with us on their facade plans and other amenities on the property. They're also waiting on an engineering study to be approved on the Phillips Creek Ranches property. There's a large body of water that flows into the smaller body of water that's on the Walmart's property. We've got to see what impact that has. The city's considering and obtaining the property to the south of Walmart, turning that into a possible park, but until we know for sure how much water is going to be flowing in, we have to wait on that engineering study. So when we get all these things worked out, Walmart will be meeting with all the homeowners associations to review their plans before going to the Planning and Zoning Commission. There's no timetable at this time on their zoning case coming before the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, John. Okay, we'll take more calls.
We're ready for Brett. Brett, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Brett, go ahead with your water question, please.
Thank you. So with the current pricing model of water, residents don't have any financial incentive to actually conserve beyond the threat of citations. So my question is, does the city have the authority to implement a kind of a step pricing model where the more you use, the more you pay? And if so, would you consider such a model?
Thank you. And the answer with technology is that we're at that point where we can do that. I know council has brought it up in the past, and they, again, may well do so. And the idea behind it is we're encouraging people to use what they need. Whether they have a large lot, small lot, there's a certain average you can use. And a very few percentage of the residents are using a large percentage of the water. And the idea from the caller, what I heard is that you significantly increase the water cost for those users going above a certain average. So, yes, the council can consider that, and it can be passed, and we'll see if that comes up on the agenda anytime in the near future. We are looking holistically at many different options for the city to continue conserving water, and that is one of those options. So thank you. Let's go ahead and take another caller from home.
We are ready to take Carl. Carl, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Oh, I got to click you. Carl, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Carl, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, thanks for taking my question. We've talked a lot tonight about the restrictions and watering restrictions and what homeowners need to do to comply with those restrictions. I'd like to know a little bit about what the city is doing to end the water restrictions, and when do we expect that to occur?
Okay, that's a loaded question, but we're going to try to answer it here. Frankly, we have taken multiple actions as a city council and staff to reduce water usage, including ET controllers, smart controllers. We were one of the first in the region to require them on new home building. We have built wells at some of our major parks. We have expanded our reuse system, and we have put in place special programs like the irrigation specialist and also rain barrels, and we'll continue to do that. We also have more we can do. We are looking at medians and things that can be done there. Council is considering many different areas we can conserve water. So to the question of what we plan on doing, it's also important to understand that we're part of the North Texas Municipal Water District, 13 customer cities and well over 30 member cities, and it takes all of us together to conserve water. This is not just a Frisco issue. It's not just a regional issue. Statewide issue, and it's a national issue, and we are in a drought. and sometimes Mother Nature does win, so we have to do our part to conserve. The other thing to keep in mind is your city council will build the infrastructure needed to get water to you. And if our normal winter usage is around 10 million gallons per day, and our summer usage is 60 to 70 million per day, then they will put in the budget the needed resources to build water storage, water delivery lines, sewer treatment plants, and that's our pocketbook, that's our taxes. So it's incumbent upon all of us for many different reasons, not just the current drought, to conserve water. Also, for the long term, North Texas Municipal Water District has some long-term plans, and we encourage them to do even more. Frankly, we want a good long-term plan from North Texas Municipal Water District. To do that, it's a 30 to 40 year process to get a reservoir built. The state has to give permission for that. And the only way they'll give permission to that is showing that our usage is where it needs to be, per person per day, from all those customer and member cities. So if we don't get those numbers down to where it's a reasonable number, the expansion and the expansion plans do not necessarily get the rubber stamp. We have to prove that we're not wasting water. The state will not allow North Texas Municipal Water District to basically take someone's land to build reservoirs if we're not showing that we conserve water. So there's many moving parts to it, but I get your point, caller. It's a good one. The city of Frisco needs to lead by example internally through medians and parks and all the other things that we do, and I think we have done that. I'm going to go ahead and take a caller from the audience here. We have one here.
Hi, my name is Krishna, and I follow city very closely every day. And I see Lebanon and 423 you have a TomTom, and other side they're planning for HEB. And now you're saying Stonebrook and 423 Walmart. And 423 and El Dorado you have a Kroger Marketplace and Walmart. And what kind of strategy Frisco takes and giving permits for these big retail stores to approve it closely so that they don't go bankrupt after a few years?
John, Director of Planning, can come up and try to address that.
Well, there's no guarantee that they're going to stay in business forever, but hopefully we set it up such that redevelopment's a possibility. And so we do a lot of that with street connections in case that zoning wants to change in the future and be connected to the neighborhood. But ultimately, the market decides if they're going to stay in business or not.
Yeah, it's probably bad policy for the city within reason to try to study which retailers will succeed, which ones will not. Again, Texas is a landowner right state, and we do have zoning powers as a city when somebody requests zoning, and we do take input. There's public hearings, so your input is valuable during that process. If the Walmart case comes through P&Z, there will be an opportunity for you to address P&Z and then City Council if it proceeds to that distance. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and views on that. We have one caller at home. Let's take that.
We do, and this will be the last caller from the call tonight because we're past the hour. We're going to go with the phones, and then after we're done answering Scott's question, we want the mayor will wrap up comments to the phone listening audience. Scott, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Scott, go ahead with your question if you would, please.
Yeah, this is just a little off of the watering cycle questions, but there's a park that's being built just north of Lone Star High School. What are the plans for that park, and do we have any timelines?
Thank you. That's a good question. That's Northwest Community Park. Rick Whelan, Director of Parks and Rec, will answer that question.
Northwest Community Park is one of 5 community parks that we currently have. It's one of 2 that have not been developed to date. Our Northeast Community Park, as well as our Northwest Community Park, have yet to be developed. But we have started to look at doing some interim improvements there that will take place in the fall. One of those will be the creation of a pond, and hopefully we'll have some water to be able to fill it with. But also the ability to put in a walking trail to complement the mountain bike trail that we already have in place, and to be able to open it up to be able to allow for people to be able to use that park up until the point we develop it more fully.
Thank you, Rick. And I want to remind everyone at home before we lose everyone that there's a lot of good questions tonight. I know there's more questions. Environmental Services can be reached at 972-292-5910. That's 972-292-5910. If the recycling is missed, if your trash is missed, if you have something to report, that's the number to call. We encourage you to do so. We want to hear from you. Also, that you heard many things about water. Please stay updated. There's an email list on the city website. There's ways that we communicate. We send out actually a YouTube video of your watering needs for the week. So please go ahead and subscribe to those. They're valuable. Before I lose the callers at home, also, upcoming is the City Council will be appointing boards and commissions. The process opens up in July. If you're interested in serving on any boards or commissions in the city, you can do so then. Also, on the city website, there's a volunteer page. The city operates on volunteers. We would love to for you to get involved. We encourage you to sign up there. And that also allows you to receive emails about upcoming events like Freedom Fest, the July 4th festivities. So we encourage you to go ahead and sign up for those. So all the callers at home, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you spending time with us. And we're just going to flip right back to our audience here, and we have a question off the floor.